is are you in the great state of Washington today, or where are we, Minal?
I am in the great state of Washington.
Okay. Well, I wanted to shout out to Karen and Peter and my father and Minal. To quote Hamilton, immigrants get the job done. And, but technically, you're from the U.S. Virgin Islands, but originally the family is from India. Is that true?
That is all true. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So also you provide some unique perspectives both as the insider and outsider. Minal, when she started her marketing agency, she started small. Well, the first thing she did was set a Guinness World Record to go down in the record books for her and for her client. I was so honored to be invited by her. I remember we were sitting next to each other in an achievers circle in a basement in La Jolla, and we just said, I got to do a book. I said, you got to do a book. And the next thing we know, we had Your Marketing is Killing Your Business. Give them an insight into what that book is about.
Sure, absolutely. So pretty much what happened is, first of all, I am a millennial. So I have been, when I was sitting at the Achievers Circle, 2019 is when I was sitting there and we were going through everything. And I remember there were 10 of us in the room and 8 were authors and 2 weren't. So when we went through the thing and it was like, yeah, you got to write a book. I'm like, I'm 30 some years old. Like, I don't have enough life experience to be an author to write a book. And as we started to as you usually do in Achiever Circle, you sit down and you pretty much take out everything that you've been doing in your life. And you're like, oh, maybe I do have a book. And I remember it was one of those moments where I said, absolutely. As far as, the title goes of this book, I'm a marketing strategist. This is what I do, right? So as a marketing person and as somebody who's been doing marketing for some time, you always have to make a big splash. Things are only as big of a deal as you make them. And that is true in every facet of life, especially true in marketing. If you want to make a big splash, you have to do something big. So yes, when I launched my company as a 27-year-old, I did it by breaking a Guinness World Record because I had to be known. I had to make sure that people know who I am and that I'm good at what I do. So I had to get credibility. With the book, it was wonderful because I had so many wonderful coaches and people. I had a whole team that helped me create it. We started working. So March was the La Jolla session, and that's when we decided to write the book. And the book was done by September of that same year. And then we published the book in January of 2020. So 2019 is when we started it. But I remember that the title was the hardest part. Writing the book, putting the book together, this is all easy. The title is the hardest part. And that's what I think was something where I had to literally get a bunch of people together. Luckily, we have one amazing individuals who provide feedback. And I know that we had like 10 or so names that we were trying to work with. I remember that there was an entire focus group where I told everybody this name and I'm like, what do you think? Do you think this goes or do you think that goes? And, eventually I think my husband was the one who selected this name at the end and said, this is it. This is the name you want. But yeah, it was an amazing journey for 8 months. And I can't believe it became an Amazon bestseller and all the good stuff that came along with it.
Yeah. I remember Jumpstart, January 2020, you brought your book out and it was already an international bestseller. Minal did a podcast for us. So talking about Eleni a second ago, Eleni's done a podcast on Rock Your Short Talk. So you can watch that on our YouTube channel or Spotify or the website. A lot of places to watch that. Minal did one for how to make your book a bestseller using social media. And Minal, if I may pay you a compliment, I think you have a beautiful mind. You just have a beautiful brain. And I quote it a lot in my Forbes.com column. I was reviewing that this morning, and there's top 10 ways to use social media to make your book a bestseller, how to be relevant to prospective clients, breaking through the marketing white noise, what is an ideal customer avatar? I'm supposed to be asking you questions, not just bragging on you. So you had a strategy to get the book done, because if people were listening, they said, wait, a conversation with Henry in March a book is out there in the marketplace in September. It's an international bestseller in January. Oh, what happened? That seems like lightning speed. So what were some of the decisions you made to get you out of the way to get that book done?
Well, so yeah, March is when we decided to write the book. And September, the book was done. December, the cover and the title were done. And then January 7th is when the book was published. And January 8th, it became an international bestseller on Amazon. But what happened was, when I decided to write a book, right, like most things in life, we have roadblocks that we create ourselves. Just like what we are doing right now. From a marketing perspective, when I put somebody on video and I'm like, give me a video, they freeze up because they're like, I don't know what to say. What do you mean? What do I have to say? Similarly, I think the book writing process was something similar to me. I never grew up thinking I'm going to write a book. I love reading. I enjoy stories. But when it came out that, okay, I need to do this for my career, I had to understand that roadblock. So if somebody's like, hey, I'll go ahead and write a whole book, I know that I'm going to be that video person like, what? What am I doing again? Am I doing this? So I had to come up with a process. And the process was simple. I knew my content. I had you as my book coach that helped me kind of align, how do you actually write a book? How are the chapters supposed to be? What is the power talk that you're giving in each chapter? What is the goal? How do you lay it out? Then I also got a developmental writer who interviewed me every single week. And I sent her all the content and the information, and she made it sound pretty and make sure the grammar is correct and all of that. Then on top of that, I had an editor on top of that who edited the book. And then I had an Amazon bestseller expert who was on with me from the beginning, because when I mentioned to her that this is something that I want to do, there was a strategy, there was a system, we knew that on what day, at what time do you launch a book on Amazon. What happened though was John Maxwell decided to also publish his book at the same time that Minal Sampat did. Now here's John Maxwell, right? Like he is the star, he's the moon, and here's Minal Sampat on the ground in the mud, like, who is Minal Sampat? So we had to come up with different strategies. We had to figure out how many minimum books have to be purchased. And Amazon's very clever. It's all about sales, right? But it's not sales. Like, it's not like I can just go call my mom and be like, can you buy 300 books? No, it doesn't work that way. It has to be separate individual orders. There's a whole system behind it. So we built up the whole system. And I kind of knew the target of how many books I have to sell from actual Amazon buyers and, on things like that. So we came up with the whole strategy. And then the biggest part was social media, right? So here's an example of what happened with it. If you look at all the photos, this is just a few of them. But what I decided is that if I know that I'm going to write a book, and if I want people to buy this book, usually people who are going to buy the book are readers who are involved, who enjoy writing, who enjoy reading business books. So I made a Facebook group for a book club. And I opened it up to everybody, and we started reading books and we started discussing books, and we would start highlighting authors. Then on social media, what I did was everywhere that I travel, I started taking photos of all the libraries. I would make, like, I was in Portugal. I went to 3 libraries in Portugal. I was, wherever I was in the Caribbean. I went to the library in the Caribbean. Wherever I was in the world, I would take photos of me in these things. I would start taking quotes. We had an entire strategy, content strategy, where our content was related to readers. And all of this was the strategy behind that. As soon as I never announced that I'm writing a book, I'm publishing a book, all of that came out on January 7th. I made a simple announcement and that was that. But we knew that I needed an audience to buy that book. So literally my job behind the scenes was just giving all the information, making sure I have the team, making sure things are getting in front. I have all my information ready. But from September to January, pretty much for 4 months, our entire marketing strategy was get readers who would be interested in reading your book as your audience base. And then we did. And then as soon as we published it and I made an announcement, we had like 300 sales within the first hour and everything started, kind of just going through with it. But here's the part that really, really made it amazing is this photo right here. What happened was that people will get the book and they will post the book on social media and they will tag us, right? And then what I did was I would reply to every single one of those individuals. And this was something that was interesting from a strategy perspective because people were replying back and I still get messages. They're like, I can't believe you're the author and you're replying me on this book. And I'm like, of course I'm replying to your book. Let's have a chat. Let's have a conversation. Let's schedule a call. So it became this, the entire strategy was get the people, the audience who would want to get the book. And then the second thing was, once they do get the book, create that relationship with them, which you always do from a customer perspective, and make sure that, you know, you appreciate them, you share about it. And then organically, they all just started, they're sharing photos of them reading on the airport, or organically they're at a conference, or they bought it, or they're on the Kindle, and they would just start posting it everywhere. And they would just start tagging me. So that clearly helped make it even a better sales. So it was a really great journey to go through that process, and, you know, to put marketing perspectives in play and see how it actually converts. In this case, I got lucky and converted.
Mm-hmm. So I put in the chat, March 12th, 2021, Forbes.com. I wrote it up, top 10 ways to use social media to make your book a bestseller. And it's, so if you're going like, well, this all sounds great, I'm trying to take notes, she's talking so fast. It's okay, it's in writing. You can have it in writing. If you want to, we're going to record this, you can replay the video. She did the podcast, you can replay the video. But I can't stress enough, authors need to be the chief marketing officer of their book. And Minal took that seriously. Also, you have to know the truth that books don't promote authors. I know you all wanted the book for your, to establish your credibility and more impact and influence, but books don't promote authors. Authors promote books. So here's some ways. Minal, here's a question I wanted to put to you. And if there's any story you can think of, it would be great. How has publishing this book given you more credibility in the marketplace?
I think being an author specifically helps a lot, right? So usually what happens is that you would have an introduction, especially as a speaker, you would have an introduction where people want to get to know you, they want to see who you are. But I'll give you an example that just happened this week alone, this past week. So I got an Instagram DM from somebody, and she's like, hey, we just finished reading your book. We absolutely loved it. We are following you. We just wanted to say hello. And I'm like, that's great. That's amazing. You love my book. Da, 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 da. And we're talking about it on literally Instagram DM, because this is what I do. And the next thing I know, they scheduled a call with me. And the next thing I know, they hired me as, you know, their marketing strategist. And the next thing I know, they also happen to be a meeting planner who has a meeting, and they are going to now have me come speak at the meeting. Now, all of that happened, yes, because they got my book and they read the book and they are following the journey online. But a part of that is also the huge credibility that it brings to you. And it's a simple fact that it's like in my millennial mind, if I say so myself, because I don't carry business cards, you know, in my millennial mind, this is like a incredible business card. There is no other business card that I need than this book. It's very easy for me to go to any of the conferences or meetings or anything like that, and even give a book away, or even just go to Amazon and share it as a gift to somebody, or give them as a gift. I'm like, hey, yeah, you know, like, we would love to know more about you. That's great. You know what? I have a bestseller. I would love to share that with you, and you can let me know what you like about it. And then sending that up. So for me, it's become a huge business card in every way possible, because that's what it did, really. It adds credibility. Of course, if you're an author, you're going to add credibility. It's organic, it's natural. But then translating that into currency, into business, is the part that I was really focused on. And that's helped a lot. Just shifting that gear from, here's my business card, which you're going to lose, but how about I send you a book from Amazon? You know, I'll directly mail it to you.
I often send my books from Amazon because it comes as a gift. We've also done where we've lowered the price of the book on Amazon. And by doing that, it's cheaper for me to send books out as a gift from Amazon because I'm Amazon Prime, so I don't pay shipping. So it's cheaper than if I buy the book and I'm the publisher and put it in the US mail. A warning, Amazon measures that kinds of things. And if they see you doing too much of it, they will stop you for a while. Oh, yes. Minal, I think it was you. I got put on Facebook 24-hour probation this last week. I got sent to Facebook jail for violent speech because Minal was giving a talk, And I told her to break a leg, murderize them. And the Facebook algorithm did not like that showbiz talk. I don't. I think
Facebook
if I
protects
said
me.
knock 'em
Facebook
dead,
protects me.
yeah, right. Well, you're
Yeah,
kind
and
to me as a boomer. You'll take my phone calls. You speak boomer, so that's nice. Though I try to text you when I can. If it's sensitive, though, I prefer the phone. In the book, something I liked so much was you were saying, and not just be provocative, why your marketing is killing, it's this contrarian, let's call it maverick. You're not contrary, but you're taking this different direction, that it's not about more posts and more information going out and just like you're going to bury them in tonnage of marketing. You have a different philosophy for your impact and influence. What is your philosophy?
well, my philosophy is that whatever marketing you're doing, you could reduce it by 20%. There is too much marketing noise. There is too much marketing out there, and it comes off rebellious from somebody who is a marketing strategist to say that, but it's very true. So the reason it's why your marketing is killing your business and what to do about it became so interesting is because when somebody reads it, they're like, oh, she's not telling us anything more. Like, she's not asking us to buy another thing. She's not asking us to do another thing. She's literally telling us what we already have and how do we maximize it. And that way, if we can maximize it, it will actually convert. Like, for example, social media. People are like, oh yeah, but I have a Facebook page and I have an Instagram page, but I don't see anything happening from it. And it's like, yes, probably because you're doing social media to do social media, because you heard social media is a new thing and that's where just we need to be, right? But that's not true at all. There is no such thing as how many posts you should be making. There is no such thing as how many videos you should be making. I make posts sometimes for one day and I skip for 5 days straight. And then I still get a lot of comment and engagement when I make the next post. It's all about understanding the algorithm and saying, if I were to push this content, where will I engagement, what kind of engagement? So marketing in general, it's like that. Everything that you do in marketing, if it is with a goal, for example, in this book, the goal was it was going to become an Amazon bestseller because that was the goal. What do I have to do to make an Amazon bestseller? So we reverse engineered the entire process and said, here's what I need to do. So this is what I need to get done. Then everything is in place. So with marketing, it's similar. People will come to me and they're like, hey, but I do have a book coming out too, and I want to make it a bestseller. It's like, that's great. But you just holding a photo of a book and putting it up on social media is not going to make it a bestseller. People have to actually want to buy that book. People need to be excited about it. Your audience has to know about it. So that's why I said why your marketing is killing your business, because majority of the marketing that's done right now is just to do marketing without intention and goals. But as soon as we kind of shift that mindset and everything we do is with intention and a goal, we start seeing results, because it's not like I'm wearing a pink tutu and doing a TikTok dance and hoping somebody's going to buy my book, Instead, there's a strategy. And there is no pink tutu and dancing on TikTok to buy my book.
Eleni previously said she's practiced the national anthem so much now. I believe she said she could do it standing on her head in a hurricane. Now, I'd like to see that. I'd see that video. I don't know if it'd do anything for her.
Oh, Darren.
Now,
Darren, if you want to do that, that's a great idea. Darren says, there goes my tutu idea. Listen, that can still work. That can still work. We'll talk.
Minal, you speak a lot. You speak a lot. And I don't know, I just wanted to talk about the life balance and speaking a lot. And I know you could speak every weekend. Thank you for speaking with us today. And we really want to see you in person next year in La Jolla. We think that would be great. But how do you balance all that speaking that you do?
It's something that I love and enjoy. So because it's something that I naturally want to do, I'm more geared towards it. But there is a life, there has to be a life balance. So for example, I was just in Chicago last week and I just got back, and now I'm doing this and I'm going to be in Atlanta next week. But what I have realized is that there's power in saying no. So for me, it becomes a choice, and I'm lucky to be able to have that choice and say, this is not going to work, or this is not the best thing. So I make a lot of those decisions based on, is this something that is going to be impactful to am I actually going to be able to help this audience? That's number one thing. And then the number two thing comes out to be, will I be able to still come home and have sanity and not be flying out again the next day? So when people talk about work-life balance, can I curse on this or no? Is this being recorded?
Yeah, we're not CBS, sure.
Okay. I think work-life balance is bullshit. I haven't found work-life balance yet. I don't think that there is such a thing that really, especially if you're an entrepreneur and if you're a business owner on your own, you dream about work, you think about work. I was just having lunch with my husband and I went on a spiel for half an hour about something about work. And he's like, it's Saturday, right? Like, I know, I should stop talking about it. So I don't think that there is, for me, at least I haven't found a work-life balance, but I just make decisions on, will this be impactful? Will it help me and it will help the audience? And then second thing, will it help me with my sanity? If I know that I'm going to have to travel again tomorrow, then I'm going to say no and just simply say that's, perhaps we can do something in the future. So that's a very simple way of doing it. But I also want to talk about, while we're in the speaking thing, about the book. So what has really happened is funny enough, I launched the book in January of 2020 and the world shut down in February of 2020. So I didn't get to do a lot of book signings and things like that in person. Everything kind of got shifted to this year. But from this year, I've been doing that. And what has really helped is if you're speaking at a meeting, and meetings are different. Some meetings they allow you to bring sponsors. Some have a whole floor of sponsors. Some don't. It depends on where you're speaking. But what I have learned to do is I would look at the sponsors, which are going to be at the meeting. And if they align with my course or the information that I'm going to share, I usually either have the meeting planner connect them with me, or I directly connect to them and say, hey, I'm speaking at this meeting. I see that you're a sponsor there, and what your services really aligns with what I'm doing. Would you want to host a book signing for me? Mm. And what happens with that is I will say, would you want to do that? And they'll be like, that's okay. So that's interesting. How do we do about this? And I'm like, listen, I have X amount of people scheduled to be at my chat that have registered so far for my speaking engagement. So let's say I have 100 people who have registered to be at my course per se during this meeting. What I would do is I would have you as a sponsor, and I would tell them that I'm doing the book signing right after my course at your booth, so that all those people to get a book will have to come to your booth. And I will create, my team will create like a book signing information, and then depends on how that conversation goes, but most of them will say, great, can we just purchase your book? So I give them that option. I say, listen, this is my author price for the book. This is how much it will cost. And this way the books are from you, and you put down whatever marketing bag or whatever you want in it. I'll come be there. I'll bring that audience with me to your booth, and I'll do the book signing. And it's a great way, because now they're getting a lot of people at their booth. They have the backup of a speaker, and I'm getting additional leverage out of it, and I have a space to do a book signing at the in a booth area and the whole thing. So it's a strategy that has worked. I've done it multiple times this year already, and I'm continuing to do it. And now the word is spreading, so sponsors will reach out to me and be like, hey, I see that you're speaking here, can we host your book signing? I'm like, yeah, you can totally host my book signing, that'd be great.
So everything's negotiable. So you negotiate that, and it works out. What you're bringing to them is call it your tribe, your people, your peeps, whatever we want to call it. That is a valuable asset. I want to tell everybody, the relationships you form with your readers and the people who come to listen to you. A small, funny personal story, but I went to speak in Las Vegas once, and Devin couldn't go. So my wife, Vicky, came, and I walked in, and people had copies of my book, and they wanted to have a photo with me and for me to sign it. My wife goes, okay, this is weird. What's happening? I go, well, I'm not famous to many people, but to this real sliver of people, they want to do that. And Minal, you have a much bigger sliver, and it's in the dental world. But you're a marketing strategist for a number of industries, but you're kind of a big deal in the dental and dental consulting world. Yeah. You were speaking in Chicago. That's the big meeting. And I know, have you been up to the Yankee group?
Yeah, I have done a bunch of them. And I've been very lucky to have that opportunity,
okay.
and put it all together.
You're being humble, and you're going to, I'm going to reinterpret the message. none of us have it made. None of us get discovered. None of us, we might say, oh, Minal, she has it so easy. It's so easy for Minal. It just comes so easy, which, is like, that is not the case at all. And going back to that immigrants get the job done. It's, and you have, offline, there's a podcast that's the #1 ranked podcast in marketing that I need to introduce you to get you on, because it's called Lead Balloon. So you have to be a success to be on, and then you have to talk about when things go wrong. And you're going to have to ask him permission if you could work blue on that one, because you had something blue go wrong. You don't have to tell people now. We only got 2 minutes left. What do you want to share with people? Or, we're giving them your website, minalsampat.com. But is there anything that you want to share or tell people to look into? Or
absolutely. I mean, if you go to if you are on my website, minalsampat.com, there is literally I'll put the link here. I do a lot of work with coaches and speakers, and that's just because it organically has happened that way. So for me, I think it became a big part of, okay, here are some tools and strategies, because I do get them and say, how are you in your 30s and speaking in front of an audience of 400 and they're paying you to be there? So there are certain things that have helped, especially figuring out those topics and those niches. And like for the sponsorship deals with companies who are going to be there, the great part is I don't have to lug around 100 books with me to go speaking to give them out. They're already there because the sponsor paid for those books, and they already lugged it, and they already have it at their booth, and the attendees don't pay for it, and I'm getting marketing out of it. So there are different strategies that you use on how you do that. So if you go to my website, there is a little, you will see in green there, it says on my website, free marketing tips for consultants and speakers. I'll put the link here. Feel free to join that. It's just an email newsletter where every single month I share free marketing tips. I share what's going on in the social media world, what's going on in the marketing world. I share interviews, I share questions. So if anybody's here, I would love to see you on Instagram. If you're on Instagram, Minal Sampat LLC, you can DM me, you can Facebook me. That's the easiest way to get in touch with me directly. Do not call me. Only Henry is allowed to do that. But everybody else, please connect with me online. I'm here for you. And that was, happy to share any feedback or anything that I've done that perhaps could be useful.
Later, Devin can explain this Instagram thing to me. Thanks. TikTok
it
next
works.
week. I remember when my mom asked me to explain Spacebook to her. Her mashup of MySpace and Facebook. Okay, Minal, thank you so much.
Of course.
And thank your husband for his service during the pandemic. I guess we're not technically out of it, so he's still serving as a doctor and was in harm's way helping people. So we